PCS is the only union that's invited me more than once to address any of their meetings. Secondly, to congratulate the PCS in an outstanding turnout today and generally in their campaign. And yes, as the author of the document with Mike, what happens is I speak and he answers difficult questions. That's why he's sitting there quietly, hoping there won't be any. But essentially, I mean, I think our position here is to broaden the debate and the basis of the argument. And I know it's an old cliche, but I mean, people already use words like solidarity and united we stand. And I want to say that it's very much the case that your fight is our fight, is the fight for everybody in the public sector in Britain and beyond, everyone who uses the public sector. It doesn't matter whether it's health or education, civil service or local government, whatever it is, the arguments here and the dangerous nonsense and irrationalities coming out of senior managers from the Land Registry are not unique to the Land Registry. You're not the only people cursed with appalling senior management. You'll be glad to know they're everywhere. And not only in the public sector, but in the private sector, as we know. And it really is an infection. We have to try to stop it. We have to inoculate ourselves and others against accepting any element of their case. And I want to focus on two parts particularly, the efficiency argument and the word that they never use, which is the planning argument. The first one is the efficiency argument. We've been told until recently that the cuts are efficiency cuts. They're for efficiency. As we say in the booklet, it's unclear what they mean, but even if they mean something as simple as an input-output ratio at the place of work, what we're saying is that's nonsense in terms of a public sector. They don't measure efficiency over time. It's today, tomorrow. It's not over a year, 3 years, 5 years, and yet surely we need to have efficiency that grows and develops in a meaningful way. They don't talk about it other than at the exact place where you are. They don't talk about the fact that your work allows other parts of the public sector, other parts of government to be more efficient because of what you do. The efficiency apparently begins and ends at your office door, and that's another mistake about the way they measure efficiency. But finally, they've stopped talking about efficiency now because when you have jobs crisis, and the International Labour Office, the bit of the United Nations that deals with workers' rights, has defined the global crisis as not a financial crisis, but a jobs crisis. It's a crisis about people, not about banks and institutions. And if we look at a jobs crisis, what could be more inefficient, more grossly and grotesquely inefficient than wasted skills, wasted training? People who in our country at the state's expense have been educated, trained, developed skills, worked hard themselves to improve it, to then have nowhere to use those skills, who cannot contribute. That is more inefficient than all the alleged inefficiencies in the public and private sector put together. It's an absolute disgrace for these people to preach about the minute efficiencies in an office if we move a desk 5 feet from one place to another so you don't have to walk so far, and then allow millions of people, not least young people, not to use their energy and skill is an absolute disgrace. It's grotesque, and it's a complete parody. It's a complete abrogation of their responsibility. John MacDonald talked about fiscal responsibility. If ever a contradiction in terms could possibly occur at this time in this particular place, it's there. There's fiscal irresponsibility. It is absolutely shocking. So for these people to preach efficiency is unbelievable. And they've stopped, actually, because they know that once they cut across the board and say, we don't care, it's 10%, 10%, 10%, whatever the consequences, they've thrown it out, haven't they? They've given up on efficiency. It's simply about saving money. And I would want to argue, but I don't have time today, that that is not the way out of this recession. It's not the way out of our debt to cut and cut again. That would be a disgrace. So the second question we come across is the question of planning. Now, I know this is so unfashionable that, you know, they think I'm quite old, you know. They think I've been around too long because I still think that planning matters. I still think that you actually don't just plan for the future of the Land Registry. You plan for the future of all government departments. That the Land Registry is at the heart of virtually everything that every other government department does. And if you had a planned, integrated approach, even on a modest scale, then you'd see the real valuation of the work you do, the real added value, not measured in the few pounds and pence in their ridiculously childish operating model. You know, if you take it to a primary school now, they'd say, come on, grow up, guys. You know, it's absolutely important, but the real value, the long-term integrated planning value of land itself, is ignored in all of this. And we try to raise in our booklet the importance of land, its usage, the way we use it, the way we waste it, the way we cannot accurately measure and control it, because you are not allowed to do your jobs properly. And you're not allowed to do your job properly because there is not a compulsory registration system, which there should be. And the only reason there isn't is because a handful of inbred aristocrats and monarchs don't want us poking into their affairs. There is no other rational basis on which to stop that happening. They don't like planning, they don't want planning, and yet planning must be at the heart of the alternative vision and the heart of the recovery. Thank you very much.
Just turned to me and said, well, that was brief then, wasn't it? And it was, but it's amazing what you can pack into a short contribution. I think it's just emphasised how important the alternative analysis is, that we're offering something positive. And I think the point about how we get out of recession and the alternative analysis on that as well, is something that PCS is pushing as well. You know, there is, rather than a slash and burn approach to coming out of the recession, keep funding public services, keep people in work, and keep the essential services that people need going. That's how you come out of a recession most successfully. So thanks very much for that, Roger.